Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into episode number 9. This is post-show Mike here, the next day after the recording of this episode. And I just want to let you know that at about an hour and 7 minutes into this episode, my video recording software kind of screws up. So you'll see the title screen for 3 or 4 minutes till a backup video recording gets started. The audio is great throughout. The episode really records more like a podcast anyway. So I appreciate your understanding and enjoy the episode.
What's going on, sports cards fans? This is Ray from Philly here, and I'm joined by my co-host Mike, This Baseball Card Life. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, Ray.
Well, we're here for Sports Card Episode Talk number 9, and we have two very special guests with us here tonight. The Philly guys. We have Ed Weskergriff with us, and you all know Mikeo. We have Mikeo with as well. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm
Guys,
doing
all right?
great. Yeah, I'm doing really good. And thanks for having us on, Mike and Ray. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
No problem.
I'm doing well as well. Happy to be here. Chat a little bit about the hobby, doing some hobby talk. Should be a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. That's great. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to touch on a few subjects tonight. We're going to just roll with the fire here. And my first question is, and Mike has some questions as well, the junk wax era, the 90s, and even the modern market, guys, has just gone through the roof since the pandemic, basically. Actually, this whole year, but especially since the pandemic. Cards from the 80s that you never thought would be valuable, like especially the Mark McGwire and Tom Glavine rookie. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. The 90s cards and the modern cards, it's just gone through the roof. What do you guys think about that? What do you interpret as to why it's going up like that? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think it's temporary? Do you think this is going to come crashing back down? So just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, what you guys think on that.
Mike, you can go first.
I think the hobby has been growing for a while. I think it's been growing slowly for like a decade, and it's been growing exponentially for the last couple years. You really have like a big rookie class in 2017 that kind of captured the attention of a lot of people. That Aaron Judge / Cody Bellinger, those guys coming up and getting off those really hot starts. And then there was another, a second tier of rookies like Andrew Benintendi and Alex Bregman and, others as well in 2017 that I feel like started to take it to a whole nother level, especially in terms of wax prices. And then we had 2018, which I don't even know if that rookie class, Ohtani was kind of the early craze, but, since then, obviously Acuna came up and has been lighting the baseball world on fire, and Juan Soto later in the year. And I think more and more people seeing these values in these rookies and the exciting level of players that transferred into the hobby and that transferred into secondary pricing, which led to more and more people kind of taking it really seriously and maybe conversing with more and more people that got, we had more and more collectors getting involved in the hobby. But as the prices and the value started to rise, they would talk to their buddies who used to collect. And I think that kind of got more and more people who were in the hobby, who were collectors, to get back into it. And then they're talking to their buddies who then are hearing about it, and maybe they're not as attached to it. And they've been getting involved in like the flipping side of it. So you've just seen this snowball effect of people getting involved. That coupled with the amount of social influencers getting involved, whether they're people who are, just collecting card channels here on YouTube or Twitter, Instagram. There's obviously a lot of different areas to be involved in social media. All that has just taken off, and you've had the celebrity types, ex-players who are involved, or, people like Gary V,
yeah.
has a wide, he was involved in the hobby in the late 80s, but now he's back and he's talking about it. He's bringing in a wider audience. All that has just kind of played a role in the modern market rising, and with the people coming in who remember, who are nostalgic, bringing in the late 80s, early 90s, and that stuff people have been involved in. And that's why you're seeing the prices rise. And the pandemic, of course, just took it to an even further level, because a lot of people, like, my first thought was, oh God, this stuff's going to drop like a rock, because who knows what's going on with the world? The world's ending. No one can get toilet paper. What's going on? Well, what happened is after things settled down, there's still a very uncertain kind of future in terms of the economy. I mean, I just think a lot of people live in the moment. So in the moment, people have received, whether it's unemployment or stimulus, or they're working, no matter what, a lot of people have some sort of income coming in, and they're not going to sporting events. They're not going to the movies. They're going out to eat less. They're not going out to the bar. So people need something to spend their money on and spend their time with, and they've kind of flocked towards sports cards, baseball cards, and prices have risen. And people get excited by stuff. That's why in season, a lot of times, stuff will rise. And right now, people are sitting around, they're like, well, can't watch any games, but hey, there's, a documentary about Michael Jordan, and that's getting me excited about Michael Jordan, and now I'm buying cards about Michael Jordan, and now those prices are rising. What's next? And then people hear a rumor about a Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa documentary coming out, and everyone floods to eBay, and the prices rise. And I mean, obviously they are making a documentary, but it hasn't even aired yet. And, people have gone crazy with that. So I've gone on and on with all my thoughts. I hope there's something left for Ed to talk about.
Yeah, basically, Mike, you pretty much said everything. But there's just such a huge influx of new people coming into the hobby. I mean, the three of us here were at the National in 2019. It was just packed out the door. I mean, couldn't get down the aisles. I know Ray, Mike, you guys been to the Philly show, the last one that was held, packed like sardines. Like, we're questioning, they got to move the venue. It's too small now. I mean, you got dealers saying, hey, if no standing, don't be idle, keep moving. That's how busy it is. So, I mean, there's various reasons for that. Nostalgia, people getting back into it after all these years. But I also think that it helps that you have the social influencers, like Mike said, the Gary V's of the world. But also, when websites like Forbes and ESPN are writing articles about sports card collecting and how it's viable now, I mean, all these things are factors into this huge boom that we're seeing. And also with, not even talking about 80s cards, more of the modern stuff, like the recent years. I think the reason that you're seeing such a big boom in those cards as well is because the talent pool in baseball right now is some of the best that it's been in decades. There's just so much star power on almost every team. There's a star and there's a great player. So, I mean, you have so many the young talent is ridiculous. You got Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna, Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, all these stud players in the league. So there's just a renewed excitement, I think, for collecting in general.
Yeah.
And there's so much.
Do you guys think
if you're a new collector, there's so much to choose from too. I feel like that's another reason money's getting thrown around, because a lot of people are getting back involved. And like last time they were involved, they were like, well, I could go buy a pack of Score or Donruss or Upper Deck. And now they're coming in and they're like, wait, there's graded cards and there's relic cards and there's autograph cards and there's low number parallel cards. And I mean, I think the scarce stuff, which it is scarce because you think about it now, like you can go buy, I mean, there's a mass amount of parallels and stuff. Like if you want a Mike Trout gold card to 50, because there's so many products, you can find one. But think about like those early 90s or even mid 90s, late 90s inserts. Like they used to be almost a dime a dozen. Not that they didn't have popularity, but they were so easy to find. Eventually that stuff gets lost in collections, and either it's in a collection or gets lost somehow. So it's going to be interesting like 20 years from now, like how easy is it to find some of these cards. So there is a built-in scarcity that I think kind of excites people as well.
That's something that's taken off tremendously. More on the basketball side. Well, you could even say it's applied to the baseball side with the potential Hall of Famers from the 90s. But 90s inserts, that has just gone insane. Yeah. Especially, like I said, more so the basketball with Jordan and Kobe and some of those great 90s players. But with baseball, it's done that as well. I know our friend Nate, Tops 85401, with his Bonds inserts from the 90s, they have just gone into crazy levels on some of these cards because true scarcity, but also the innovation that was going on in the 90s with some of these companies, with all the various companies making these incredible designs, the chromage, the shine. These cards are just really beautiful. So I think that's also a factor in why some of these cards are really sought after now, and the prices are just ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. So we'll go on to the next subject now. Mike, this Baseball Card Life has a couple questions for you guys now.
Yeah, I just wrote down a few questions here.
We're going to change up a little bit,
Change up a little bit. We're going to go the kind of the grading route and comparing or
Good
just
stuff.
like why doesn't PSA have a 9.5 grade as in that Gem Mint Plus that HTC has?
Right.
Beckett also has it. They consider a 9.5 a Gem Mint.
Yeah.
So two of the major companies do have the 9.5. PSA just doesn't opt to do it. I think that's.
Huh. Do you think that hurts them at all, or do you think it doesn't hurt them at all?
I mean, I think PSA's had their grading scale for a while, and right now they are the most popular of the three grading companies. So I don't think they probably have a feeling like they have any need to change. But we'll see. I think it kind of can depend on the set. I think old school sets, I mean, I think their scale is probably fine. I think the modern sets, I think that 9.5 can help a little bit. As someone who's graded a tremendous number of, modern cards in the last several years, and not even grade it, evaluate it for potential grading. I mean, I'll send off a lot of cards for grading, but there's, 5 times that amount that doesn't get sent. With the modern stuff, you have the Mint and Gem Mint. There's so many cards that can easily fall in that in between where it's really good, but there's like the most minor of things that, like, because I'd be tough on grading. If I were grading, I'd be the guy who slams people with 9s on modern stuff, and they get ticked off at me, and they'd be doing reveals and cursing me out. But it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I'm kind of okay with even the pristine grade because Beckett and SGC does it. I personally would never go and super overpay for a pristine card. I might pay a nominal amount more for it. But there are cards that I will look at and I go, this thing is flawless. It really is. Most of your Gem Mint cards have some kind of issue. It may be very minor and you can't see it with the naked eye really, unless you're sitting there. I mean, who takes out their cards and stares at them like this for 10 minutes? Not many people. So, I mean, PSA just never had it. These other companies have had it. Well, Beckett's had it for a while, and SGC now, since they kind of revamped things.
Right.
I think it's something that we could see from PSA in the future, but I don't think they're in any kind of rush whatsoever.
Right. I think if they did that right now, they would be getting a lot of people resubmitting all their 9s to try and get 9.5s, and because they'd be looking at it saying, well, this looks like a better than a 9 to me, so they would have an unbelievable influx of.
I think that is something that they would consider once they're finally kind of caught up, because they've been kind of perpetually behind now for the last, kind of couple years at this point, due to not just them becoming more popular, but grading in the hobby. I mean, you guys have been around the hobby long enough to know that grading wasn't always considered this important. It was kind of frowned upon. It's still frowned upon by some people, older collectors, like the card shop I go to. Like, I know most of the guys there, they just, if they buy a graded card, they're buying it knowing they have the work of cracking it out. Like, they're not in the grading, and they never at this point will be. But the younger generation, it seems like a lot of people they rather buy a card that's graded. And I kind of feel that way with a lot of vintage stuff, especially higher price cards. Like, I want to kind of know for sure what I'm getting. Modern stuff, I don't feel like I need it graded, but when you are buying stuff online, if I'm buying a raw card online, I'm not buying it with the expectation that it will automatically be Gem Mint. I buy it thinking, all right, I'm willing to pay this price, assuming it's a 9. And if it is a 10, that's a great bonus because you just figure at this point most people are grading,
Right.
or at
Yeah.
least looking at it for grading.
But on the SGC, Mark, one more thing on the grading part. Ed was telling us before we went on the air about SGCs getting really busy, and they're just going through the roof with a lot of orders. You were telling us that, Ed, right? You were saying they were just going through the roof with orders for SGC.
Yeah, they actually released a press release kind of on their website from Peter, and he's the president of SGC. But they were saying that they're getting a ton of influx of orders, and they're having a more difficult time doing their turnaround times, and they care deeply about honoring turnaround times, and they have a 20 business day turnaround time, and a lot of people are getting their orders like 30 business days, or a little past that, because they're just getting bombarded with orders from people. But Mike knows when you've been dealing with PSA for as long as we have, 30 business days.
It's a great time.
That's amazing. That's great. Like, I'll take it. Like that's paradise. I mean, 30 business days compared to 7 months and not even an update. I mean, it's still night and day. And I think, but it's cool to see them just be very it's cool to see SGC be very transparent and to be like, listen, we know this is an issue. We're hiring more people. This is what we're doing. We're doing A, B, and C. We want you, the customer, to know. So that's cool. I really appreciate that.
They're addressing any issues they have. They're letting people know. Whereas the other company, who I love, like you said, you really don't know what's going on with any updates or anything. So that plays a factor in customer service. But Mike's got a next question.
I've got a follow up too. It's like, say you had a PSA 9, Trout update rookie, and you're like, well, let me gamble and just send it to SGC. Maybe it'll get a 9.5, and then it's technically, worth a lot more, and you could sell it for more instead of just like a PSA 9. Or even, I guess Ed was showing off a 90 Lee Frank Thomas. Well, the PSA 9 is a lot cheaper than the 9.5 if you look at recent sales on eBay. So it's like, if the card looks, and it says PSA 9 and it looks really, really nice, like this could be a 10, just send it to SGC and even get a 9.5. I mean, you're just going to help the value of your slab.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely an option for people to do, and there's multiple ways you can do that. You can send the slab to either Beckett or SGC and be like, hey, can this get the 9.5? But there's a lot that plays into that. I feel like between the grading companies, personally, my personal opinion on it, if they see what the grade is already from another company, I feel like they're hesitant to maybe bump it up a half grade or another grade. So a lot of people, you got to gamble. It's essentially gambling. You have to maybe crack it out, take it out of the case, and hope that you take it out right, hope that everything goes good, and then you get the grade that you want from the other company. So a lot of people do that. That is popular among people. It's not something that I really venture into because I don't like to gamble on what I already got. Mike probably knows more.
I think it's just hard to, like, if you're going to do that, especially with a higher end card, you're probably going to want to put the minimum grade because you don't want them to crack it out and
definitely
go way below. And the problem is, like, I hear people a lot of times on videos are like, it accentuates some of the flaws. And, like, you can sometimes, when a card's in the holder, maybe notice a corner or an edge or little chips a little more, especially if it's like the SGC holder because it's up against that black mat. But, like, surfaces are, specifically for modern cards, are virtually impossible to really, really evaluate through the slab because you have the glare. You're looking through the plastic because there's like fine little indentations and scratches sometimes. So like SGC or Beckett, if they're looking at a PSA card, or even if it's PSA looking at one of them, like if it's graded, and if you put a minimum of a 9 and it's graded a 9, they're probably not going to crack it out to look at it. They're just going to base it off of that, and they're like, there's nothing conclusive that tells us this is more, so we can't crack it. So that's one of the issues. But I just think the bottom line is with the grading companies right now, there are 3 legitimate companies for people to choose from, and I think competition overall is good. If SGC rises, that's going to make PSA go, oh, there's someone coming up behind us. Let's kind of step up our game a little bit. And same thing all around with Beckett, PSA, and they all have their different services. And I think that's something to kind of consider. I don't know if you guys plan on getting into this, but there's 3 options. And they all have been around for a long time. They're not some – I think there's some people who've just recently gotten involved in the hobby who think like SGC is something that literally a company some guy started in his – basement 3 weeks ago, and that's just not the case.
No.
They've been around for decades, and they're premier for pre-war stuff, and they're well respected, probably the most respected for vintage stuff. They've really, their boom has been coming up from the modern stuff as people have seen the quicker turnaround times, and them being open, of course, during COVID-19 obviously gave them a little bit of an advantage as well with the whole flipper kind of era in this hobby. People want the cards back because, hey, a PSA card right now, PSA 10 might sell for a little more than an SGC 10 right now, but hey, if you get it back in 25 days as opposed to 6 months, you can turn it around a lot quicker, so you take a few dollars less. So, hey, they're all options to choose from.
Right.
That's what I call the Keston Hira theory, kind of. Like his PSA 10 is like $100. So you see all these flippers being like, oh man, I gotta send in all my Keston Hira cards to PSA, but guess what? If you send it in, you're gonna be waiting like 5-6 months. So send the SGC, get the 10, and there, move it.
Yeah, it's all about what you collect. Obviously, the 2 hosts of this show are kind of well known to be big into the registries. If you're into the registries, of course, you want your cards done by PSA, but you don't necessarily have to get all your cards. I mean, some people obviously need that uniform, everything in the same thing. Like, I'm not really like that. I don't really care. I like PSA and SGC, but there are certain cards that I might prefer in one case or the other, or for whatever reason. If I was in a registry, of course, I'd want, like Herb Washington. Who's getting a Herb Washington card graded by Beckett or SGC? If you're getting a Herb Washington card graded, you're getting it graded by PSA because you want it in your registry. I actually kind of want that card because I just think it's kind of neat, but like that's a reason to do SGC, a reason to do PSA because you're getting it for the registry, right? And if you're doing a really thick card of some basketball card because you want to move it and you think it could get pristine, you might go with BGS. And if you have a pre-war card or something that would look nice with the black mat and you want it back in a couple weeks, you're going to go SGC. So there's a reason for all of it.
All right, guys. All right, long-term collecting goals. We haven't chatted with Ed and Mikeo on here, so if you want to go first, Ed.
Well, everyone that follows my channel and watches my videos know that I do set collect the Game of Thrones autograph cards. So long-term goal, finishing off some of those sets would be really great, the autograph sets. I'm very close to completing Season 7. So, and I've been working on that for several years. So it's just been real difficult to try to track down those cards. And I've found with non-sports, the longer that the product's been released, the harder it is to find the cards because the cards go into collections or they just disappear from the secondary market. So trying to get Season 7 finished would be probably the main goal. I have completed Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, and Season 6. I'm probably not going to do Season 8 just because the way Rittenhouse Archives structured the release. It's just they made too many of the cards way too scarce, like under 10 made or under 5 made. It's just not feasible to it. It'll be impossible to track down those cards. So I'm probably not going to do Season 8. Still would like to try to do Season 1 and 2. but those have been very difficult to find. Now, talking more about sports, my goal primarily has always tried to been to get gem mint examples of key rookie cards, specifically modern rookies, because before this boom, that was like my bread and butter because there's so many cards in my collection now that I have got for very, very cheap because those cards weren't sought after, whether that be a Juan Soto update or update rookie or Acuna rookie or Cody Bellinger. Like almost all the modern rookie cards in my collection I purchased at one point for under $20.
Mm.
So with this boom, it has shifted a little bit on how I collect these cards because obviously they're more expensive now. So it's always on to finding the next gem, the next talented player or undervalued player. Like I know a couple, I would say maybe like 2 months ago, I talked about the Todd Helton rookie on my channel, the 93 tops traded Todd Helton. It was $40. And I was like, go buy this card. The Gem Mint 10s are very scarce. They're hard to find. And it's a very difficult card to grade. I think now that card is, I think there's only like 2 on eBay and they're like $80. So it's doubled since I made that video and talked about that card. So that's kind of like a thing that I like to do. I like to try to find undervalued cards that I feel have the potential to go up, but modern rookie cards are really my bread and butter. And then I really do like collecting oddball Philly stuff and Phillies cards in general. And then the other Philly teams like the Eagles, the Flyers, and the 76ers. So I'm spread all over the place. So obviously certain things get neglected because you can't collect everything, even though I try to collect everything. So,
Yeah.
But it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Been having fun with it since I got back into it, and it's just been very enjoyable.
Yeah. No Joe
Don't-
Carter, though. No Joe
No.
Carter.
Bob
Okay.
Lewis, that went into the fire pits.
All right. Yeah. What you guys should watch his latest video, and you'll understand the joke. So, all right, Mikeo.
Well, I very much like Ed. I'm involved in all aspects of this hobby, probably to my own collecting detriment because you just spread yourself too thin. There's only so many hours in a day. Honestly, lately, I've been thinking maybe in part of it is because of the state of baseball right now, the uncertainty. And by the time this episode is up, maybe we have a conclusive announcement one way or the other, but like we don't really know what's going on with baseball in 2020. And lately I've been kind of thinking about key cards that I've wanted to add for a long time. So I think my long-term goal is to kind of add more high-quality vintage to the collection. And if that comes at the expense of some of my modern stuff, then I'm perfectly fine with that because I think maybe I'd sleep a little better at night. Obviously, modern has been booming lately, and modern is extremely popular. But there's definitely no doubt that vintage is more stable. And obviously, if there's a world catastrophe, listen, vintage cards will drop in price. But so will everything. People are going to want bread more than they're going to want their baseball cards if they're starving on the street, you know? So
I don't know about
Yeah.
that.
we'll see. Maybe they'll eat the cards. But I mean, there's like I've wanted a 1950 Bowman Jackie Robinson for a while. Obviously, that price has continued to creep up, but it hasn't exploded from what it was a couple years ago. It is expensive when you factor that into some of the modern day players. And I'm like, all right, so a lot of these modern cards are going for similar or same price. Like, I think my long-term goal, obviously, I will forever collect Phillies cards. And I like to pick up different examples from different sets. That's like in my mind. I don't know if I can ever do it because there's so many oddball kind of food and beverage issues from over the years and the pre-war stuff. But I always try and add kind of one card from all the different sets that I can find. So I'll continue to do that and kind of collect for sentimental reasons. But there's certain big-time cards that I would like to get. And I think it'll take a while, but at some point I'm probably going to scale down some of my overwhelming PC of stuff that I maybe don't necessarily need and kind of go big time. So you know, one goal that would be nice is to pick up maybe a Sandy Koufax rookie, like right before Ray from Philly, just to light a fire under him, so he maybe picks it up a little quicker or something. But we'll see. But those are the types of cards that I really, I mean, I've been gaining interest in them for a while, and I think when I look at the markets of 80 stuff shooting up and modern stuff shooting up, and I see the vintage obviously moving at its slower scale, I'm kind of like, well, maybe that's actually the best buy right now.
Yeah. Vintage is, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The vintage market right now is. I've been picking up a few vintage cards here and there. Just the prices are just take advantage of it.
Yeah.
The spotlight is not on it right now, so go where the spotlight is not on.
And it's easier to player collect too.
Yeah.
I was looking on Beckett.com for Mike Trout cards. There's like over 6,000 of them that are on their website right now.
And like 5,987 of them are probably over $100 now.
Yeah. So
just
it's
based on the way his stuff's just crazy.
Yeah. And
like I saw, I forget what I was doing, like a generic search I don't even remember what I was looking up. And I saw Mike Trout PSA 10 refractors like from this year, last year. They were active bids for like $120. I was like, they were like $40 cards like 3 months ago. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Vintage. So
vintage is more simple. Look, here's just something I'll say for people who are newer collectors who might be watching this. I think if you grew up in the 80s and you know all the modern players, I feel like, and I felt this way when I kind of got back into the hobby, I felt like vintage was a little overwhelming because I didn't maybe necessarily know all the values, and I wasn't super well educated on all the different sets and like even like high number cards that are shorter printed. And now I look at it, and it takes education, right? You can watch people in the hobby. You guys both have great videos where you can learn. There's tons of other people out in the community. And you want to seek out those experienced collectors to learn from, not just because you see someone has 20,000 subscribers. That doesn't, especially if they have a very new channel, that doesn't necessarily mean they know anything about the hobby. They might know the hot items right now, but seek out people because you can learn. But when it comes down to it, vintage is actually so much more simplistic than the modern stuff, and it's actually can be less it can be more fulfilling to collect because you feel less stressed out. You're not overwhelmed with 87 different parallels and 80,000 different types of cards from a player that just came out in the last 3 months. So there is something really nice about collecting it, and you can find a reason. You don't, we'd all love to collect Mickey Mantles. That's not, you maybe can't do that. You can either find something. Mike, I know you just recently did a video. You were showing off it might not have been recent because I watched tons of older videos, but you were showing off some Bowman cards and you were talking about where players were from. Like, doing that research can be really fun, and you can find a reason to collect guys, whether it's just a card that you think looks great or you decide to collect from a certain player or team. There's just reasons to collect, and you could decide you want to be a Willie Puddinhead Jones super collector, and you buying all the Puddinhead Jones cards.
Dude, his cards are going up. Cards are going up.
Yeah.
There was a couple of instances that were super expensive.
It's nice, even if you don't know that much about the player, you can do research, and doing that research can be fun. And then you start finding like video clips, and even I've been listening to some old World Series games or old, not even necessarily from like the 40s and 50s, and it's just like, you start hearing these players, like the announcers calling them, you're like, oh, wow, this was like a real player. This isn't just some like fictional guy I never heard of on a card. Like, right. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And Ray just started doing his PSA registry for Steve Carlton. Was there like 30, less than 40 cards? So that's so easy to just kind of, these are 40. They're not 6,000 Trouts. Right.
Ray's probably super excited for the Cleveland Indians and Twins cards and stuff, right?
87 tops traded. Steve Carlton.
The Minnesota Twins and San Francisco Giants, and that's going to be fun. Well, we're going to do another topic here. One more topic. We're kind of talked a little bit about modern now, but like the big thing that everybody in the world is talking about right now is Ed's favorite topic and Micah's favorite topic, Topps 2020, Project 2020. The thing shot off like a cannon. Cards going for $1,700, $300 2 days later. Even before, like on pre-sales, they were going for that much.
Mr. Trout.
Now they seem to kind of level off. What do you think is going on? Why is it leveled off?
Mike, you want to touch on that first?
I mean, it's up to you. I think it got. When I saw it, I think it came out very close to when things started shutting down. And I remember seeing the email from Topps because obviously, like everyone, I get all the emails from Topps, and I buy a lot of stuff from Topps directly. And I saw it, and I was kind of like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." When I heard about it, and then I saw the pictures of the first few, and I was like, I could see them being kind of cool, but it's not something that screams to me like, "Oh, I have to have that." If, say, there was Mike Schmidt in there, I'd probably pick up the Mike Schmidts. Maybe not even all of them, but maybe the ones that looked really cool because they could probably do a neat job at that. But I think basically they are artistic takes and reproductions of rookie cards. So if you're into the art and you like the way they look, I think they can be really cool. But like to me personally, as a baseball card collector, I'm more interested in the original card. Like there's not been one single card that I would rather have from Project 2020 than the original rookie card. There are some that look really cool, and I like the ones that look like baseball cards. Some of them look neat, but like if they have all that like graffiti or kind
Twisting,
of just
yeah.
stuff everywhere,
Pirates
I'm not
hats
saying
on
that
top of their
can't be
heads.
cool looking or that people aren't into it, but it doesn't look like a baseball card from that time frame. Some of my favorite ones are the more basic looking ones. I know there was like a Sandy Koufax just with like the border, and I think it was black and white, and I was like, dude, that looks awesome. It's very simplistic. But something like that, I can't personally take seriously and go, oh, this looks like a 54 Ted Williams. Like, it doesn't look like it to me. It doesn't look like it would be in that set.
Looks like the old wacky packs from the 70s.
Yeah, it looks like it would be something in one of those sets. Like, and that's not to say that, like, art is subjective and everyone's going to like what they like. And there's definitely a lot I've seen that look really awesome. Like, they look cool. Like the Blake Jameson McGuire card where he used the Team USA uniform on the 87 design, and it looks neat. It looks cool. I have no problem having that. I mean, but I think things just got spun so quickly out of control with the prices. And a lot of that was due to the flip game of people buying and selling. It got to the point where there were more people buying them to flip than people looking to add them to their collection for more than that standard retail price. And so the market has crashed down, and it's leveling off now, and I think it's going to get more attention. There's already been some videos put out, so it'll start hyping up a little bit, and I think that some of the prices will continue to rise again a little bit. But it's a big set. If you collect all 400 cards at that $20 price, I mean,
$8,000.
$8,000 set. That's
Topps is printing money.
not many people can collect that entire set. So it is what it is. I mean, if you're into the artist, it's cool. If you're into the players doing that player run, that's awesome too. If you can do the full set, cool. And if you're not into them, then you're not into them. It's just another choice. I'm always pro adding as many sets as possible. I love when Topps gives us those options. But it's never going to be my favorite thing. Doesn't mean I won't have some in the collection. So far, the only one I have in hand is the Ben Baller Mike Trout, and it looks awesome. It looks really cool. But how cool does it look? Does it look cool enough that people are going to spend $50 on it? I suppose so, because Trout's popular. Is it a $200 card? Probably not. I mean, it's got a pretty sizable print run.
It was a week ago.
It was. Was being the key word. But, like, I hear a lot of people trying to kind of talk about, well, it's art. You got to factor in it's art. And I get it. They're artists. But, like, they're still 2.5 by 3.5 baseball cards. Like, that's what they are. They're not 18 by 24 canvases. So they shouldn't go for the same price as something you're going to hang on your wall. I do think being from artists and art collectors, it should, and it probably will, draw some more interest and increase price. But art with baseball cards is not new. I mean, doing it in this fashion, and selling them on demand, and that being the print run, and having that consistent set from 20 different artists, that is new. But 50 old Bowman cards, there's pre-war cards that were based on, they weren't all photographs. I mean, we have the Diamond Kings that were made for years. We have Topps Gallery, even the Living set for the last few years. I mean, there's dozens upon dozens of sets that have artistic takes. So your standard card collector, I mean, I don't think it's new in a way, and it's done in a different type, but it's not something that's like, oh wow, we've never seen artistic stuff on baseball cards before.
Right.
So we'll see what the future
Right.
holds. I mean, we have cards coming out through December, so there's going to be a ton out there.
Ed, what do you think? What is your thoughts on the do you like it? Do you think it's okay?
I like them. I do enjoy them. I mentioned this in my video when I was talking about Project 2020. When it first came out, my initial reaction was, oh, that's interesting, but it might not be for me. But then I approached it maybe from a different space than maybe Mike or even you, Ray, or Mike. But
Yeah.
I looked at it as a vessel to potentially add bigger and better cards into my collection. And there are people in the community that have done that. I know Beaveroff masterfully did that, and Bob Lewis masterfully did that. So when I was picking up some, I only bought the ones that I liked, that I was like, you know what, I don't mind having this card in my collection. It looks aesthetically cool. I would like to have it. But what I would do is every card that I ordered, I would order 2 of them. So I was like, I can take the extra one, and
Sell it.
because the prices were ridiculous, they were stupid, and I think a lot of people started to do that, and then it just, the Shore Griffey was like this Titanic, was this iceberg, was just this iceberg, and I joked about it in my Project 2020 video when I got the cards, and I'm like, it's like we're on the Titanic and people are running to the lifeboats.
Mm-hmm.
People are throwing the women and children out of the way. They are running to the lifeboats. And,
Yeah.
you know, when the dust settles, when Project 2020 reaches its conclusion, it's going to be very fascinating to go back and to look at the lifespan and the secondary market of this thing, because we've never seen in the hobby before something retail for $20 and then a couple days later sell for $1,500. I think the most that one of those cards sold for was about $4,500. I think one of the Ermsey Trouts was selling for $4,500. So, I mean, it was just utterly insane. And then you have this Titanic crash. I mean, price is just like a dive bomber, just like went straight down. A lot of people were saying that was like the market correcting itself because all the hype beasts kind of fizzled out. But I know there's people out there that think, you know, maybe Gary Vee will pump it, or artists will do interviews with premier people to breathe more life into the hype beast. But it's just fascinating to watch this all unfold. And I look at it as a perspective of somebody who, you know, is in it, really likes the hobby. I mean, we're baseball card collectors, so we're not looking at this from an artist standpoint, or what the art community or what those individual artists' audience think of the cards. We're looking at it from our sports perspective. And I can't help but think that the people that paid a lot of money for these cards when the hype was crazy, what they're feeling and what they're thinking right now. People who have not returned their cards, because I've seen on social media all the sellers of Project 2020 talking about how all these buyers are canceling sales or saying that the case has a scratch and they want to return it. I mean, we've seen Bart made a video about it. I mean, and I really, really feel for him, because it was gut-wrenching watching that video to hear that. But I'm thinking from a hobby perspective, like, okay, someone paid let's say someone paid $1,000 for our Ermsey Trout, and now that card's, let's say theoretically selling for $500. What's the person that paid $1,000 thinking right now? What is their perspective of the hobby? What do they think about baseball cards? Like, it's a slippery slope, and I just hope that it doesn't give people a negative feel for the hobby, or make them resentful of the hobby, because I think this is only isolated to Project 2020. The price fluctuations this is a Project 2020 phenomenon. I mean, we've seen price increases in the baseball card world, but we never seen dives like this before in the baseball card world. You could say maybe with the steroids, players' values got hit, and of course, like with guys with McGuire, Sosa, Bonds, their values did take a hit when that news came out, but it wasn't such a dip like that, like a quick dip.
It usually takes time, and that's one of the things with this new influx of collectors and flippers that is something you have to look at is what do these modern players turn out to be and do? Because if you look back at some of the hot players from the 80s or early 90s, we've all heard the stories, and some of us have experienced it. Greg Jeffries used to be the hottest thing in the hobby. Mm-hmm. Of course, back then, maybe cards were $10, $20. They weren't necessarily getting graded 10, some for like $8,000 before the guys ever played. But I think that's going to be something now with the major emphasis, because it's not like one or two hot players. It's not the hot prospect of the – I mean, there's like dozens and dozens of guys. And eventually, if enough people get burnt on these cards, people are going to lose interest. They just naturally are going to be like, oh, well, I'm not excited about this because I'm getting crushed on all this stuff I bought. So I think that'll be a factor for the hobby.
Right.
And Project 2020 with that, I mean, that escalated in the values. I don't know if Ray and Mike, if you guys followed it. I know, Ray, you followed it to at least some degree, but I know Ed and I for sure, like,
yeah, I followed it pretty hardcore.
Grew so much in the matter of 72 hours. I didn't even have anything in hand, but you would check eBay literally like 10 times during the day and just see the prices escalate, and I'd be like, this is ridiculous. And I would tell, when I had talked to them, I'm like, this is not sustainable. Now I was hoping it was sustainable more than like 5 days, but eventually when a few people panicked, that was what I was telling people. I was like, I think they're cool cards, and I think there's a lot of people who want to and are collecting them. That's very evident, but you could tell based on those prices, a lot of people were getting in, buying stuff for the sole purpose of going, oh, I could buy these cards, make 10 times my money, and buy something else awesome, or just put it in the bank or whatever you wanted to do with it. And when you get to a point where there's more flippers or resellers than collectors, you know, a few people, as Ed put, like the Titanic, or you could think of it as like a stock sell-off where bad news comes and people just panic. They're like, I don't want this card. I don't want to get stuck with it. Let me sell it. I'm going to undercut this guy, and the next guy undercuts that guy, and then prices just nosedived over the course of a few days. And I kind of equivocate it to Beanie Babies. You guys remember Beanie Babies back in the day, right?
Geez.
Beanie Babies, awesome product, genius product. They're really cool. I mean, like, I'm not a big Beanie Baby, but like, it's a cute little doll for like $5, right? Great idea. And so people really got interested in it. Kids would want them. Maybe like the mother would want to collect with the daughter, and they'd get in. They had all their names. But at a certain point, that Beanie Baby market got completely overtaken by resellers, whether it was, you know, maybe a family that were kind of collecting them together, and then they kind of got more so on the dealer side of it, or if it were shop owners taking advantage of it, or the sellers. I honestly don't know if you guys remember this, but like flea markets, there'd be guys that had vans full of freaking Beanie Babies, and that was
boxes
like
of the beanies.
The early days of eBay, because I remember my sister like was into them a little bit, never like super into it. She had some. And, like, I remember, like, somehow ending up with a few extras selling them. And it would be ridiculous. You get, like, $70 for some freaking stuffed frog or something. And it's like, and there were ones that were well beyond that. But it got to a point where everyone was buying them to resell. And then the market just eventually dropped out. There was no one collecting or willing to pay those prices. And now you go to when the pandemic, if it ever ends and you get back to normal life, you would go to like a garage sale or a flea market and people are literally have to give them away. They'll put them in a giant bin and say 3 for $1, even though perfectly nice toy, but like they just have that stigma of, oh, those are worthless.
See, I was going
to that happened to junk wax for a while too. It was like, it could have been a great set, had great rookies, but people just had it stuck in their head. Oh, that's junk wax. That's junk. That's overdone. Now things have kind of dried up a little bit, or people have added value to it with the high grade stuff, because that's really what's really driving some of the late 80s, early 90s stuff is, again, it becomes a value thing. Value, whether you're collecting for value or investment or not, value is important, or perceived value at least, for the popularity of stuff. Right. And that's the thing with Project 2020 is it needs to get back to having that perceived value. It doesn't need to be $900 for a card that hasn't even shipped from Topps yet, but it needs to hold collectors' attention and not be seen as something that's like, oh, I'm going to get stuck with, that's junk, it's worthless.
Right.
See, that's why I was going to bring it back a little bit, because with Project 2020, it's still, quote unquote, it's still profitable for flippers, for people who are buying it directly from the Topps website. I'm trying to tell the whole story of it, because I've been following the prices of it very, very closely since I initially got into it several weeks ago. I mean, most cards are selling for well above their $20 price tag. And if you buy more, like, because I see people on like Facebook and in the various groups saying, oh, like they're being like Nelson from The Simpsons. Haha, the guys who bought in bulk just got screwed. Well, no, because the card's still selling for above $20. They're selling for like, I think the majority of the cards are selling for like anywhere between $40 to like $50. Right. That's double the price of what it costs. So it's still very much valuable. It's just that the crash that we saw was unprecedented.
And quick. And it was quick. Right.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
And the problem with which Ed brought up was it kind of in a way brings out the worst in people a little bit, because people make bad decisions, they overpay, and eBay is so ridiculously lenient on returns that people are just like, return. So like a lot of those prices are very artificial. People didn't necessarily get that money for it, and unfortunately some people spent that money, and that's a shame too.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's what happens when things become kind of overinflated or over kind of pimped up a little
overproduced too.
And that's what I was trying to get at. I mean, there are some people that unfortunately got stuck with the bag, so to speak. And if you're a seasoned collector, I mean, you should have maybe, I don't want to sound harsh or anything, probably should have known better, but I'm looking at it from the perspective of the people who maybe just got into this, who maybe got stuck with the bag, what their mentality, what their outlook is going to be. And I feel for them, but I want them to know that this ain't the norm with collecting. This is definitely not the norm. This is an outlier.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, in the near future. I think some of the cards are still going to be a little bit more than the $40, $50 range, depending on the print run. But when you get cars that are going 70, 80, 90,000 print run, it's mass production, and it's just
it does seem like things are leveling off print run. The last few days they've been like 20 to 25,000, which is down a bit from where they were. I know the most recent Mike Trout was about 75. I think every Trout is probably going to be 50 to 75
easily
going forward. Mm-hmm. But I think some of the others will be lower. And I think the original cards, those original runs, they will be, obviously they are shorter printed, so they will have future value in the hobby. They will be seeked out by player art collectors. I just think long term, like the prices that they were escalating to were not sustainable. And that was very easy to kind of see. but it was also easy to get caught up in the hype. And I don't want to sound super negative towards the set. I think it's a nice idea, and I think it's cool, and I support it. I just think people have to be very reasonable. You got to put on your common sense goggles when you're looking at this product. You definitely have to look at what you're doing and think about things. It's easy to get caught up in a frenzy, or to feel like you have to build something right away. But Mike, like you said before, what are your long-term goals in the hobby? You got to think a little bit long-term sometimes when you're making purchases. You got to at least take a few minutes to think about things and not just kind of get caught up and start buy, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh wow, I just paid
don't
8
get
times
crazy.
what I was planning on paying.
Yeah, I can see them doing a Project 2021 with other cards, maybe like Bo Jackson or some of those guys, and also think that they could really take it into the basketball, hockey, and football cards. There's some classic other sports other than baseball that could definitely look great, to have these artists make those. So I hope that happens.
Yeah.
That's one
I
of the
think
things.
with the amount of success they had, they'll absolutely do something again soon. Whether it's 2021 or 2022 or in some smaller form, maybe they don't do 400 cards again, 20 times 20. Maybe they do 5 or something.
Yeah.
Or they do just kind of randomly one a month. I don't know what the future is, but there's no doubt when they sell however many cards they're selling right now, they're gonna do it again.
Well,
This time we'll just pre-order more magnetic holders.
I'm going to be interested though to see how much they sell though once baseball gets back. Even if it's next year and they want to do a 2021, will it be as popular next year? I don't think it will be, because there'll be other things going on with baseball and people spending money on other things. So we'll see. It's yet to be determined. I mean, it's a fun product though, and some of the things look really cool and some of them are outrageous, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, just to say real quick, I think it's very, very important to buy the cards that you like. And going forward, I know for me, I'm going to be buying the Trouts. I'm going to be buying the Ermsey, because I do really like Ermsey's art. I find it pretty intriguing and aesthetically pleasing, so I'm going to be picking up his. And also,
doing the Bob Gibson
Keith Shore, my boy Keith Shore, the Philly guy. And I will say this, the cards are really cool. I really do. Those guys I mentioned, Keith Shore, Ermsey, and the Trouts, I do plan on buying all those. But I feel like the one prediction I might say, I feel like the Keith Shore Griffey, I don't think any other card. Now, there's a long time. It's till December. But I don't think any print run will get near that, the 99,000. I don't think any future print runs will get near that level unless there's a huge resurgence.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people thought that the one that came out, the one that just got done selling, the Ben Baller, Blake Jameson Trout, I heard people say that was going to sell 150,000 units. It did sell very well. It sold 75, close to 75,000. That's tremendous, but it didn't eclipse the Shore. So I think
they are starting to add stuff like that. Recent Trout, you have, I think the 10 copies are going to be autographed by Mike Trout. So I'm sure there were some people who bought that too. We're like, I'll take a shot. It's like a little lottery ticket. Worst case scenario, I sell the card for what I paid. Maybe I get lucky and get a Trout auto. You already have that chance with the 1 of 1, but it's just a little more incentive. So I think you will see Topps incorporate those types of things into future releases. But I'd like to see stuff. I mean, I think it'd be cool to see some Phillies player eventually represented. I would definitely be interested in that. I just personally, can never do a set like this, and I'll pick up some that I like for sure. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be
for sure
fascinating, just like the rest of this hobby.
Yeah. Mike, Baseball Card Life, did you have any other questions left that you wanted to go through? Move on?
Yeah, we can keep moving on. We're pushing an hour here, but
All right.
we'll keep moving.
Hey, you got the Philly guys. You got to take advantage of this opportunity, right?
All right. Favorite all-time sets. It can be more than one. So, Ed, you want to start?
1993 Leaf series. My all-time favorite set. That's because of the nostalgia factor. That was the first set I ever remember buying. First modern set, I would say, got to be the 2011 Tops. I just really like. I mean that's really where this whole powder keg for modern cards kind of started. Uh, 89 Upper Deck, always a great one. And vintage-wise, I really like the 62 Tops. I love that wood look. I don't know, I just like that. And 64 Tops is cool too.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is I feel like 62 Tops, there's a lot of cards you can get at pretty good prices. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe that's just my percent. I keep seeing 62 Tops come up in like auction runs I'm looking, and I'm like, dude, these cards seem to be fairly affordable, so good news for Ed.
Mikeo, what's your favorites?
I mean, I'm like all you guys, I'm addicted to cards, probably too much, so I love a billion things. 89 Tops, I've stated on my channel or on different podcasts a lot in the past. That's kind of the set that got me really started, getting a few packs for my birthday and going through them with my dad. So I've always loved 89 Tops. That's like a pretty awful set in terms of rookies. Like there are a few rookies, and there's obviously Hall of Famers, but it's one of the least loaded of like the sets from that run, you know, that time frame, because there was no Griffey standard. But love the look of it, and I like that set. And then I love when they do stuff like Topps Archives and stuff, and they incorporate that 89 Topps design. There's actually a Topps on-demand set available right now. It's only like 5 or 6 cards, and it's not really the best player checklist, but it's in the 89 design. So anytime I see that, I love that. 93 Upper Deck, I think, is a very underrated set. I mean, that might be the best looking Upper Deck set. I know 89 is the classic, but like 93 Upper Deck, take a look at those cards. They're super colorful. The photography is really good. Like they're amazing if you're to get autographs signed. Like if there's like an old Philly signing and they're in 93 Upper Deck, that's one of my go-to cards because they look amazing. Great looking set. You know, there's so many modern sets. This is random stuff people don't think about, but Superstar Sensations was an insert set out of Topps Chrome a couple years ago. Well, it was in Topps and Topps Chrome. The Chrome version looks amazing.
Mike, baseball card life. I'm curious. I never really asked you what's your favorite sets.
I would say modern. I love like the 1991 Stadium Club. The first year of Topps Stadium Club is awesome. I've really fallen in love with a lot of like even vintage wise the 50s Bowmans, 51, 53. They're just incredible.
50 and 51 Bowman are two others. Like I sit there and flip through them all the time, like on eBay, like Greg Morris cards. I mean, shout out for him, because if you're gonna buy raw, go Greg Morris. But like I'll look at it and like there'll be like 100 cards I want to bid on. I'm like, they might be cheap enough, but I'm like, if I were to get them slat, like they just look amazing. 50, 51 Bowman, both awesome sets. So sorry to steal your thunder.
It's all right.
But like that was one of, like, I love vintage stuff too, pre-war stuff. 41 play ball, amazing. 57 Topps. Some people don't like it. I love the look of
I
those
love
cards.
57 Topps.
As long as you get like good registration on it, amazing. There's so many amazing sets. I mean, we could do like a 6-hour episode of just naming awesome sets.
Yeah, you got of course you have the Gaudis, the 33, 34, the Gaudis in that time period. Oh man.
DeLong, those DeLongs are amazing.
Yeah, and I just saw on Mikeo's Instagram when he just picked up this Connie Mack card. It looks black and white. What was that, like an E101?
Yeah, I think so. It's actually upstairs. I just got it in. I'm probably gonna get it reholdered.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't actually show it off in a video yet, but I might just get it reholdered and then show it off when it comes in. Only because that card looks good in that holder. I just like the new flip a lot better for SGC personally. So I might get it reholdered, but there's so many old school cards like that. I mean, that's a blank back, which some of the stuff from the early 1900s are. Yep. Every time you think you have a grasp on this hobby and what's out there, you can never catch up.
No.
Even if you win the lottery, have $500 million and all the time in the world, I still don't know that you could discover everything there is to discover in this hobby. It's amazing. But yeah,
that's the
for
fun of it.
for me, I
picked that up.
I like
It's amazing.
for me for modern, I always like the 91 Leaf Gold. I was always tremendously loved that set. 80 Tops was my all-time favorite. 61 Tops is
1980,
something.
everything is Ray's favorite. The
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
1980, the Phillies team
Yeah.
1980, all the
That's
Phillies
right.
players, the top set, the poster.
1980, right there.
1980.
1980.
Do you guys
Right.
have the same poster? Does Mikeo and Ray
1980.
have the
No,
same poster?
actually, behind me,
Oh, that's
that is
2008.
actually a version. It's probably, they're both, I think.
It's
That's the
2008.
08 team, right?
That's the 2008 team, though, yeah.
Okay.
And I actually have ticket stubs, the original ticket stubs on the bottom of that.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, go ahead, Ray. Sorry I interrupted.
I
you.
was going to say I like 61
1980.
Tops. 1980,
Yeah,
greatest year ever. Greatest year ever. 1961 Tops, and then some oddball kind of sets like I'm doing the 72 Tops now, which I love that set as well. But 64 Tops Giants and 63 Fleer are sets that I want to. When I'm done 72 Tops, those two sets, 64 Tops Giants and 63 Fleer, is something that I'm going to be doing. They're beautiful sets. So there's so
usually
much out there.
There's so many sets, like the Topps Giant set that's, for a vintage set is pretty affordable. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to learn in this hobby. And as you guys are like rattling off different sets, I'm like, Ray's talking about 61. I'm like, damn, that 60 set's awesome too. I mean,
60s.
well,
That's everyone's favorite from the 60s. Mine's
Like-
the year after.
And then 64 is great, and 65 is
65 is great.
There's a lot of great sets out there, and you mentioned 72, and like I got into 71 in the last year, and I didn't ever really consider even building the set, but like they're fun to look through. Like if we ever get back to a card show, I remember Ray, we were flipping through, you were picking up a bunch of 72 Topps cards for your set, and like I'm flipping through like 71s, and like, oh, this card could easily be a 7, of a semi-star. What the hell? I'll pick it up. Why not? It's fun to watch your kind of collecting just evolve. Like you'll just get interested in different sets. So anyone I ever hear who says, oh, I'm getting bored of this hobby, I'm like, you must be collecting with your eyes closed, because there's so much. It's not possible to get bored.
There's so much to do.
You can get frustrated, or maybe you're going through something where you can't necessarily spend money, and but like, I'm constantly reading about some of this old stuff, and like, oh, I got to add that to a list, and you just start a list of things you want to pick up at some point. But I don't see how it's possible to get bored in the hobby.
All right, next question. Best live sporting event you've ever attended? Go ahead, Ed. We'll start with Ed.
2008 NLDS Game 2, the Victorino Grand Slam game
Nice.
against CC Sabathia. That was probably the best game I've gone to. The atmosphere in the stadium was insane.
Wow.
That was the loudest I've ever heard a stadium ever when Victorino hit that slam. It was so loud. Speaking of loud, the second most notable game I went to, 2012 ALDS Orioles-Yankees. Orioles when they beat the Yankees in Game 2. First playoff win at Camden Yards. That was great. That was loud too. But I don't think it was louder than the Victorino slam. But that was crazy. So I would say those two games.
I'm going to start off real quick. I know we're already, over budget for time, so I figure at this point, why not put it over budget even more? One of the worst, 2003, final year at Veterans Stadium, opening day, the home opener. Everyone's excited. Jim Tomei is in Philadelphia. I remember going to that stadium, place is full. I'm like, this is like the first time in years that this place is electric. So excited. I cut school. Sorry, high school, whatever. It was a very, very long time ago, so it's irrelevant now. In the stadium with like 10 buddies. Like I had chills. The ovation was so loud, so excited. Like, wow, this team might be compete for the postseason. Jim Tomey's here. We have a legitimate team. Finally, so thrilled. They take the field. People are going crazy. Joe Rowe is on the mound. Next thing you know, bases are loaded. Reggie Sanders hits a grand slam. The Pirates score more runs. It's like they're down by 7-0 in the first inning. I was like, well, this sucks. But better times did come. So, no, sporting events is something we're missing right now, but you can always think back to some of those great ones. And I've been to a lot, but I've been very lucky to be to some incredible ones. Ray mentioned Terry Mulholland's no-hitter, August 15th, 1990. Was there with my brother Tom and my dad. Unbelievable experience, especially as a young kid, and always thought, man, I was so lucky to see a no-hitter live. Little did I know, 20 years later, in October of 2010, I would see Roy Halladay's postseason no-hitter, and it wasn't lost on me that was only the second postseason no-hitter of all time, and that was just one of those things that was incredible to see live, and it was also kind of nerve-wracking. Those are the types of games that, like, you enjoy to a certain point, and then you're just kind of, like, nervous about it the entire time until it ends, and then all the enjoyment kind of rushes in again to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw a no-hitter live in the postseason. 2008 World Series, though, Game 5, has got to be number one, because it was like the culmination of a lifetime of watching Phillies baseball, and the whole experience, kind of it being a part two. A lot of people who aren't Phillies fans might not remember that was the conclusion of a suspended game due to rain. Yeah. So, like, I vividly remember, I mean, all of '08, I have memories and flashes from all the different, because there were incredible moments, but, like, that day, like, I remember riding down with my dad, and at the time, I had another brother with me, and then we had one of my brothers was down at LaSalle at the time, so I remember we went and picked him up to head down to the stadium, and I specifically remember driving down Broad Street and just, like, seeing City Hall there, and you saw, like, the flags, and you get around to the state, like, you can think back on all those different kind of, you can always watch the highlights, but I have these flashes of, like, walking towards the stadium, walking into the stadium, and then the game itself, and after it ended, seeing the Philly fanatic waving the World Series thing, like, just watching the dog pile and being there hours and hours later. I didn't even go home. I don't even remember how I got home. I think I got a friend to give me a ride home, because I ended up meeting up with people after the game. Like, it was, I don't even remember when I got home. It was probably like 5 a.m. or something, but what a special day.
Awesome memories, man. Philly fever.
And that's important. I think that's important. If you're into this hobby, because I'm actually shocked sometimes when I watch people, and I go, you don't watch baseball, do you? You're into the cards, but you don't follow it. Like, I don't get it. Like, that's what makes collecting so much better. Like, connecting all those memories of a lifetime, whether it's growing up or modern times, like remembering who you were with and where you were during certain moments, connecting them to the cards, to me, just enriches the hobby so much.
Easily.
I missed that game by one. I had tickets to game 2.
I was at your CC Sabathia game as well. I was behind home plate in the upper level, section 320. That was an incredible game.
Dude, that game was nuts. But I went to game 2 of that series against the Reds. Remember the game where Jay Bruce lost the ball and the lights and the tails? That's the one I went to.
And that's the thing with the playoff runs, and when you have special teams, it's pretty incredible. Like, I was at a wedding for that one, and that was before, like, everyone was streaming on MLB.TV. I think it was like Slingbox or something, some kind of thing that I don't even know if it's still around. One guy had it connected to his phone. There were like 10 of us, like, hovering over this guy's shoulder at the wedding watching that game. And I think people were getting pissed at us for not paying attention to the wedding. I was like, listen, like, this is the playoffs. Like, you know, you should have postponed your wedding for the playoff game. Like,
yeah, really.
Yeah.
Mike, baseball card life. Do you have a favorite sporting event that you might have went to?
Mine are more in college football.
Okay.
But I do remember I went to a game in the mid-'80s in Yankee Stadium, because I was was born in upstate New York, so it was my first game in the old Yankee Stadium, and I just remember I was on the third base side, and Don Mattingly was playing, and I thought he was the the best player on the planet,
And he
and
was.
he probably was in
He was.
'86 or so. So I would say that for baseball,
Hmm.
just a lot of college football games. I've been to over 50 college football games. Just national title games. I was at a
Wow, you went to a
OSU.
national title game?
Yeah, I've been to a few of those. I met like Derek Jeter on the sidelines
Hmm.
at Ann Arbor in the big house. Met him. What was that in 05, and then was on the field afterwards, and met just some great classic players and just. But that was yeah. I'll just
That's
ramble
awesome.
on. Yeah, I saw a lot of college football when I was in college, being in the band at the time, and you would
Hmm.
go to most of the games and know the players and get to meet them and
That's awesome.
You guys picked a
yeah,
lot of questions that could easily be like 5-hour shows on their own.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
Like we could easily just
Yeah,
keep
I mean,
talking.
I
I'm
could just
sure you
keep
got like
going
a
into this.
treasure trove of stories from
Yeah.
that.
I do, and just yeah,
Yeah.
going to school with these players and they like know your name, and then you follow them for 4 years, and then
Hmm.
they go into the NFL, and with social media, it's so much easier to follow the players and where they are now, and yeah, it's just awesome.
It's a huge connection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, for me, of course, what else? It's 1980
1980.
World
Woo!
Series,
Yeah,
Game 6, Tug McGraw, 600 level. And then the Mariano Duncan game on Mother's Day in '93 hit a grand
Boom,
slam walk-off.
flashback. Driving in a car. Well, I wasn't driving. I was like 12 years old at the time, but in a minivan full of kids, going home from my grandmother's house, visiting and like listening to it on the radio live and just being like so
place
excited
was
to watch it on
nuts.
ESPN like hours later. Unlike today's world where instantly you'd be like on YouTube or whatever, MLB.TV on your app looking at it. But
Insane
Mhm.
reaction. Everybody was hugging each other and high-fiving each other.
Lee Smith, baby.
Lee
That's
Smith.
why I pick up a Lee Smith rookie card for that memory. Sorry,
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah.
I know you're a Hall of Famer and all, but Mariano Duncan.
When he came
Destroyed
into the
you.
game, when Lee Smith would come into the game, guys would just put their gloves down. They knew the game was over. And when Duncan hits a walk-off grand slam, that year, that took off the '93 Phillies, that game right there. It's great.
How is there not a ESPN 30 for 30 on the 93 Phillies team?
That's
I
amazing.
There
understand
should
we're
be.
biased, right? We're biased because we're Phillies fans.
Yeah, but that's a
But
legendary.
I haven't seen another team like that. Like, it's just beyond the fact that it would be fascinating for the national audience to learn of all the characters and goofballs that were on that team. Not all of them necessarily probably the best of guys, a little wild. But, like, they could make – I truly believe they could make a
Easily.
feature film movie on that team. Not even like a documentary. Like, they could make it – people would think, oh, they're making all these guys up, these characters. These don't seem real, which they would be. But they could – like, that team is just so unique. And most teams that lose a championship are generally not necessarily remembered unless they're a great team. Like, I mean – people remember like the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees, or the Eagles a couple years ago beat the Patriots, or the Giants teams that beat the Patriots because they're beating teams that were dominating the sport. But like most people don't sit there and go, oh, who lost the World Series in 95 or 84? Like big baseball fans can figure it out or think about it for a minute. But like the 93 Phillies, they're a team that's very well remembered, even though they didn't win the World Series, and it culminated in that Joe Carter grand slam. But that was just such a unique team that kind of came completely out of nowhere. Like the Tampa Bay Rays in 08 somewhat came out of nowhere. No one expected them to be a team that won the pennant.
Yeah, but there was no characters on that
build,
team.
But they didn't have like the 93 Phillies just were loaded with these characters like John Kruk and Lenny
Dykstra.
It's
Mitch Williams.
a really interesting team, and I'm sure if you've read about some of these players or some of the shenanigans of that team, you'd probably be
Remember the 4 in the morning game?
You'd be amazed and entertained, but maybe also horrified to a degree too. Like,
Dude, remember when they played a game at 4 in the morning?
Yeah.
Another memory.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I'm sorry to take up your entire episode, guys, but like, this is a true story. 1993. So I'm 11 years old, whatever it is. So I'm in grade school, right? I wake up at about 20 after 4 in the morning, 4:15, quarter after 4. I just randomly wake up, and like the Phillies, that was a doubleheader. I'm like, oh, I want to find out what they had. So I take out my little headset. I put on the little Walkman thing, and I'm putting it on just to try and find out what the score was. I was like they don't replay games like now. And I realized the freaking game's still on live, and I listened to the end of that game as Mitch Williams had the walk-off hit to end the game in like whatever inning it was at 4:40 a.m. Absolutely ridiculous. And I just happened to wake up and listen to the end of that game against the San Diego Padres. It's just crazy.
I thought it was a replay.
Was the game in California or was it in Philly?
No, it was in Philadelphia.
Philly.
That's what made it more ridiculous. Game 2 of the doubleheader started after midnight, and both games had rain delays. Like, I think they actually, after that game, they did an official curfew where you couldn't start a game after a certain time. Because at the time it was kind of controversial, like, why are you idiots playing? But I guess they didn't want to have the Padres fly back into town at some point, so they just kept playing.
I remember reading about that game. I think the vet opened all the gates, so all the bars were clearing out.
Yeah,
and like all the drums were coming into the stadium. Dude, they could make a 30 for 30 about that game, just that game alone. It was like a
ESPN. If you're watching this episode, get on it. 93 Phillies, unbelievable classics. Like, it's crazy.
No, they love their Yankees and Red Sox though. So
yeah,
Phillies is kind of down the list in my opinion, unfortunately.
All right. Well, I think we pretty much hit every subject, and I think this is going like that 4 o'clock in the morning game pretty soon.
Hey, there's going to be people out there. If you're sorting cards, you're doing something, watching this episode,
They'll listen to us.
Post it down in the comments and be like, yo, I was sorting cards. I appreciate the lengthy episode.
I do that a lot. Like, if it's a really long episode or someone's doing like a podcast thing, whenever I do any type of sorting, I put it on. And because it takes a long time to sort some stuff.
Yeah. Like this episode,
Absolutely.
All right, well, we appreciate you guys coming on. It was a great episode. It was a lot of fun talking to my homies, my Philly guys, and we appreciate you guys coming on, talking everything. And Mike, this baseball card life, you have any final thoughts on anything?
Yeah, we should do this again. It's a lot of fun. It's so nice to just
it's
laugh.
It's definitely a lot of fun, yeah. It's just like a hangout. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised. I thought you guys were going to banish us forever after we hijacked your show. And,
No, that's pretty much what we wanted.
Just actually occurred to me right now. Ed is like sitting there going, yeah, that pizza was hot. Like,
well, I told Mike this baseball card life, you don't really have to write a bunch of questions. Give these guys 1 or 2 questions, and they're going to just take off with it. Yeah. They're just going to take off with the show.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for me, so I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And tune in. Everybody watch this episode and let you know what you think. And appreciate watching Sports Card Talk episode 9. Thank you very much.